Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Boys Season 5, Episode 8 finale video. There are a whole bunch of WTF moments, both good and bad, and a bunch of Easter eggs, so we will break it all down. Anthony Starr, the actor who plays Homelander, all the other actors on the show, even the showrunner, were getting in on some of the finale memes. It got crazy. You could definitely tell that they watch social media because the showrunner Eric Kripke was getting in on the "because it's what Clara would have wanted" memes. The writers had been using the Worm character earlier this season at multiple points to clown on themselves, saying that their finale, preempt their finale as being terrible because all finales in the world of the boys are terrible. So it kind of felt like they were trying to have their cake and eat it too, because it's really hard to end a TV series. There are very few TV series that have amazing series finales. Most of their focus was just on closing the Butcher versus Homelander arc that started the series off. That was basically like the backbone of the entire series, was Butcher's mission to kill Homelander. So I do feel like they did a good job of paying that off, but as you would expect, there were so many different story threads and things that they set up over the 5 seasons that of course they didn't pay every single thing off. So there's still a lot of WTF questions that they leave hanging in the air that you could be asking. My assumption with a lot of that stuff is they'll just save that for spin-off shows to answer. One of the best examples of that is Soldier Boy. What happens to Soldier Boy? Is he just going to stay in cryo forever now? While the episode was airing at the premiere, they also released a trailer for the Vought Rising show that's going to take place in the 1950s. Presumably, they'll release that officially online. I can't put the entire video in my trailer here. I don't want to get the video super banned. But all the episodes of this will release early next year, so hopefully they'll be talking more about that pretty soon. Because they ate a lot of plot this season, a lot of time was taken up to set up Soldier Boy and this prequel series. The actual episode was titled Blood and Bone, which is a reference to the speech given by Homelander during Season 3, where he suggests that he and Butcher share a fate that is going to be a little more scorched earth, shock and awe, blood and bone, which is also what Butcher tells to him right before he kills him with the crowbar. The crowbar has been activated, which is one of the things they use in the comic book ending for Homelander. Homelander's ending isn't exactly the way it is in the comics. A crowbar was involved, and Butcher does also wind up dying like Homelander, and it does happen inside the White House, so we got some echoes of the comic book story, but it was vastly changed from the comic book story. The shock and awe part of the title, too, is also a reference to the people of the world, literally everybody in the world, watching this public broadcast on every single TV network on television and every single streaming platform. So, literally every human with a phone or near a screen saw this happen live. The actual episode starts muted with Frenchie's funeral. Sage and Tara are there too. Press F to pay respects for Frenchie. He wrote his own eulogy, which they use mostly for comedy and to have a touching moment here to explain how he felt like he'd grown so close with the other members of the boys. They were like family. Apparently he asked Huey to read it. It's very long. It seems like he wrote this while he was still in the freedom camp between seasons, expecting that he might die at any moment. So it makes sense that he would write some preemptive eulogy and probably have this ready to go if he ever did die. He reveals hilariously that he saw each of the different members of the boys' buttholes in weird, messed up ways on accident for the most part. And a lot of the pages of his eulogy are taken up with butt-based talk, but it's all in service of paying off the idea that they did become a very close family over the years, all about the found family of it all. Kimiko starts to show signs of her new power emerging like Soldier Boy's when she gets upset. They cut to another cheesy Vought commercial for Homelander's Easter broadcast, which is where everything goes down inside the Oval Office.
Homelander reboots the universe.
4 p.m. live from the White House, Homelander reboots the universe. There were so many characters that reference this throughout the season and real-life promos they revealed that just sound absolutely ridiculous, which is kind of the way they treat it in Universe 2, is that everybody around Homelander feels like what he's doing is ridiculous, but they're all terrified of him, so they're afraid to tell him. They remind you that Vought has their own version of YouTube in this universe. Vought owns pretty much all major media platforms. Apparently, monopolies aren't a big problem inside the world of the boys. They reveal then that Homelander found Ryan out at a cabin in Norway because of Vought crime analytics tracking someone flying in the area. That's also a reference to Vought literally tracking every single human on planet Earth, like surveillance state, but all over the world. He references abusing Ryan earlier this season, tries to get him to come back with him before the Easter announcement, and reminds him that he's calling himself God now, and Ryan is the Son of God. Makes a Jesus reference to deep cut Mary and Joseph, the Son of God sleeping in a barn. Technically, it was a manger, but same difference. They mention Soldier Boy. He's referenced a couple times throughout the episode, but we don't actually see him show up in the episode. Homelander saying that Soldier Boy doesn't matter and only he and Ryan matter is a reference to his fight with Soldier Boy in last week's episode where he tried to bail on him. When Homelander says that Ryan is just like him, he's not totally wrong, like he's being raised in this really messed up kind of way. He's being traumatized the way that Homelander was traumatized when he was younger too. So part of the danger on the other side of that is that he could potentially turn into another Homelander if he doesn't have people that are good around him, which Ryan does. Like a lot of the members of the boys are messed up in their own weird ways, but they are fundamentally good people. Ryan then tells him off again that he's not really God and calls him out for all of his wrongdoing and weaknesses. Homelander starts to short circuit again. He does this several times throughout the series, season to season, and pretends like Ryan is out of his mind and just refuses to hear what Ryan is saying. Just pretends like he doesn't hear it. We then find out that the boys had their funeral burying Frenchie at the farmhouse where Marie, Jordan, and the Gen V characters are hiding out. They're not certain Kimiko got Soldier Boy's powers, but the scene earlier of her causing the ground to shake around her when she got upset was the tip-off that it did work. We also see Emma is there with them with a new hair color. They want to fight with the boys and help them stop Homelander, but Starlight tells them to head to Canada with the people they rescued and to live free, like fly free birds, live on. That's also a reference to the Gen V characters showing up on future spin-off shows. The creator, Eric Kripke, who's also working on this, said that that's basically what he's going to be doing with those characters. Like, they will show up in other places and other TV shows in the future. If you didn't see the news earlier, Gen V Season 3 basically got canceled, like they canceled the show when they were preparing for Season 3. Starlight gives Marie the never meet your hero speech about her meeting Queen Maeve and claiming she would never let herself become bitter the way that Maeve did, but she did until recently, and gives her the rally speech, basically like go off and be free, like continue doing good things, use your powers. So remember, Marie, all the Gen V characters still have their powers after this too, as do most other superheroes that were not right in the middle of the Oval Office when the blast went off. This is also why Annie still has her superpowers too after the series, because she wasn't inside the room when Kimiko gave her blast off. We go to the White House and Ashley gives O-Father the ball gag that she mentioned earlier this season that Mother's Milk later ironically uses to cause him to accidentally kill himself. Technically, O-Father killed himself. Thank you very much, Ashley, for being a freak, because that did help them out big time. One of the few times that Ashley being a super freak actually works to help them. She gets a look at his sermon announcing Homelander is God. He understands it's not going well. There are many, many people who won't believe him already before he spirals out in the middle of his speech. Sends him on an errand so she can try and get back Ashley to help her get O-Father to flip on Homelander or find out if he's going to stay Team Homelander or try to join her in Team Let's Survive This.
Sake, is this the 8th grade?
This is mostly to remind you that back Ashley broke with her and said that she's not going to help her out anymore until later in the episode when Ashley finally grows a pair and decides to help the boys. Sage then tries to bond with Kimiko over the dead people, the pets that they love, making the joke that Frenchie was like her pet, like Sage's pet dog, also to work her up to the point to see if the blast will work, and we actually find out that it was technically Butcher's idea to piss Kimiko off because they think that's the only way to get the blast to work because that's the way it works for Soldier Boy. It only happens when he loses it. They also use this to prove that the power works to burn people's Compound V powers away, so Sage is now as dumb as rocks like the rest of them, the way she jokes about later, like, thank you so much, because now her mind is quiet. Love the way that she goes out in the episode too, I'm going to Harry Potter land, see y'all suckers, and just takes off. Sage going to live her best life in Orlando at the theme parks. Not our only Orlando reference in the episode, the Deep reference Orlando a couple times. Maybe the writers on The Boys are just really excited to go to Orlando on a vacation to the theme parks after this show now that it's over. Huey then reveals that they're all being irradiated because Kimiko is a walking A-bomb right now. The reason why Soldier Boy doesn't do it is because he isn't dosed quite as much with it, and it's worn off enough to the point where he can just like stand next to people. Although if you stood close enough to him for long enough, you would also probably get irradiated too. They then make their final plan to take Homelander down at the White House in the Oval Office during his broadcast. This is based on the end of Homelander's comic book origin story, but like I said, even though their final battle takes place in the White House, the way that final battle went down between Butcher and the version of comic book Black Noir was very, very different. There was a crowbar that was involved, so I was happy to see the crowbar show up for this big final scene. The crowbar has been activated. They make a joke about sneaking through the White House tunnels that JFK used to sneak Marilyn Monroe in for an affair, also to remind you about their work with President Singer, because we see him at the end of the episode, and also because Ashley uses the tunnels later in the episode to help them. They remind you that Kimiko isn't talking, she's signing since Frenchie died because she's gotten so upset. She did this previously on the series too, where she would go back to signing anytime she got really upset and she wanted to emphasize her words. Then they have a wild scene with an Elon Musk parody at the White House with O-Father and Homelander. Like, this is very clearly meant to be the writers taking a dig at Elon Musk. He calls him the world's richest man. Elon Musk is the world's richest man in real life, who wants to use starlighters as slaves at his factories and harps on fertility rates. And when they joke about him having 17 children, that's a reference to Elon Musk's many, many children in real life. I would not be surprised if by the time I have finished making and uploading this video, Elon Musk reveals that he's had another child. Homelander doesn't want to give him the time of day, doesn't want to spend any breath on the world's billionaires, but O-Father reminds him that they need their money to support their church going in the future, talking about the practical aspects of actually running this giant regime across the world. Tries then to get Homelander to postpone the Easter announcement so that he can work his mojo on everyone and turn more people to his side, which it seems like would work. Like, if he had just waited a little while longer, Homelander might have had a much better chance of actually winning, and really pisses him off when O-Father suggests that Butcher might be able to depower Homelander. We get another funny scene of the Deep showing up trying to get Homelander to name him as a crusader, more of an inquisitor really, so he can have a new job inside the regime and a position of authority. O-Father, who has hated him with a passion, makes fun of him for learning about the Crusades from watching movies. Indiana Jones, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves are now canon to the boys, as are Sherlock. Homelander then hilariously throws the Elon Musk parody into outer space, then proceeds to tell the Deep off in the most savage way you have ever seen him tell anyone off on the show. Metaphorically, you can see the Deep's heart break inside his chest. Like, this is right out of The Simpsons, Ralph Wiggum. You can see his heart break the moment it breaks.
You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
Everything he's been living for has been a lie this whole time, truly hits rock bottom and begins to cry. When Homelander then gets ready to give his address in the Oval Office, he has another series of flashbacks like has happened in previous seasons to the messed up things that have happened to him recently. His fight with Soldier Boy after he tried to abandon him, beating Ryan, then Ryan telling him off, and then the Mindspace Stillwell who told him to kill all the non-believers. When he starts his address saying, "My fellow Americans," that's how most US presidents typically start similar speeches when they address the country. He then tells him he was visited by Mindspace Stillwell, who told him he ascended to godhood, basically, and his divine mission was to save the world and be God. They use very haunting music, and it gets progressively creepier and creepier as the speech goes on, and he starts to slowly spiral out. Like, this is actually a real great scene. I love the way that they framed all this. When he mentions the Golden Dawn, that also sounds a little bit like a real-world Golden Dome reference. I tried to visit his website here, homelander.church, but it didn't point anywhere. Like, Amazon didn't create a fake website for the bit. Amazon, you cowards, you should have created a fake website for this. They then learn that Butcher and the boys are in the White House, take Ashley to the safe room, and O-Father reveals that they created a trap for them, knowing that this would happen, and Ashley does finally grow a pair and helps them break in, causing back Ashley to finally get back on the team with her and help her. She then helps lead them towards Homelander and the Oval Office, but then tries to escape, finally making up with back Ashley as they run for it. They find the Deep crying, used for a little more comedy here. He makes another Robin Hood Prince of Thieves reference as Starlight finally lays him out and they have their big final moment. She tries to have a final talk no jutsu with him and get him to see the light, so to speak, make more references to her power, and be free of Homelander, but he refuses to listen to her, refuses yet another, like one of the many opportunities for redemption, and actively continues trying to become an even worse person, just totally irredeemable as a character, and it's meant to be a big payoff on the way that their relationship started with him forcing her to give him the BJ. And as most people predicted, like this was actually a pretty common prediction, Starlight throws the Deep into the ocean without realizing the consequences, and the Deep is actually killed by all the aquatic creatures. So RIP, don't let the door hit you on the way out, Deep. Even though the actor Chase Crawford, who played the Deep, did a fantastic job of making you hate the Deep, it's a little bit like Joffrey on Game of Thrones. The actor did an amazing job of making you hate Joffrey and wanting to see him die. So RIP to the deep sleeps with the fishes. O-Father then tries to stop Kimiko and Butcher before they can depower Homelander. Huey, who is the tech whiz, setting up the ending for the show where he takes over the electronics store, because remember, he worked at the electronics store before he joined the boys, helps them escape and distract O-Father, and does a pretty solid Butcher impression on the way out too. Allowing Mother's Milk to get him with the ball gag, because thank you very much, Freak Ashley, leaving the ball gag there. If it wasn't clear, though, it was his own sonic cry that caused his own head to pop. He popped his own head, essentially. R.I.P. to O-Father, he was a great character. Daveed Diggs was a fantastic actor. I wish he'd been on the show since season 1, like he was fantastic of all the different villains that they had in the series. Homelander then reaches the end of his speech and starts to spiral out as he sees the reference to the father and son, reminding him that Ryan will never accept him, and it causes him to absolutely lose it. And he really does go Old Testament biblical on everyone on live TV, telling everyone that he will basically kill them if they don't believe. His speech was so well thought out, you have to imagine that Homelander probably practiced this in his head before this happened. And while he's going biblical on everyone, you see the crowd slowly start to turn on him as the psychics who are monitoring the crowd start to notice the red lights popping up over and over again, more and more people start to turn on him, essentially.
You will die the most horrible of deaths, as befits your wickedness.
Then while the cameras are still broadcasting to the entire world, all the streaming platforms, this whole thing all broadcast to everyone live, Butcher walks in, gives us another daddy's home, which he has used in previous seasons, kind of like a catchphrase of his. And the entire world basically gets to see Homelander's unceremonious end, and it is a pretty hilarious and fitting end. He then references their Scorched Earth speech from season 3, and he and Kimiko have a three-way fight for the world. So this is kind of like the greatest pay-per-view MMA match for free, but with superpowers. You notice during the fight that Butcher's Compound V powers allow him to hold his own a little against Homelander. He's not nearly as powerful as Homelander, so he can't actually hurt him that much, but he can slow him down. And it's not really till Ryan comes back and helps keep him from flying away that Homelander finally turns on him, vowing to kill Ryan too. So part of the idea is that as the fight goes on, Homelander becomes even more and more irredeemable, the way that the Deep became even more irredeemable by the time he was killed. This will be important because it's meant to be a parallel for Butcher's ending, where he also does die, but he slowly begins to redeem himself a little bit more, so that even though he still is a pretty terrible person when he dies, it's a more hopeful spin on this death scene than Homelander in the Deep got. Kimiko then has her own short circuit when she hallucinates Frenchie, who gives her the little pep talk she needs to help her activate the ability fully, telling her that her power was always within her, like she never needed to give over to rage to be powerful. She depowers Homelander and Butcher, but not Ryan, because Ryan did not have Compound V in his veins. He was born naturally without Compound V. Kimiko also still has powers, because Soldier Boy still has powers when he gives off his blast too, but she's knocked out along with Ryan, so that Butcher and Homelander can have a very intimate final moment together, just the two of them, the way that they predicted and said they would do this in previous seasons. The entire series, all 5 seasons, have been building towards this moment. Absolutely loved Homelander's reaction when he realizes that his powers are gone. It's priceless. He's a terrible fighter too, because he never learned to fight to begin with. He never had to learn how to fight, which is why Butcher just absolutely slaps him all over the Oval Office. Just a good old-fashioned knockdown, drag-out bar fight. Dedicating his first salvo of blows to Frenchie, while Homelander is whimpering like a baby for his life, begging, remember on live TV while everyone is watching here, offers to give him Vought the company first, then tries to offer the shapeshifter turning into Becca to pretend like she's back too, offers to suck his D, then offers to literally eat crap. And this is basically Homelander destroying his legacy and everyone's fear of him at the same time around the world. So remember, everybody had kowtowed to him because they were so afraid of him, so they would just do whatever he wanted to do, like whatever crazy ideas came into his head. After watching this, him lose his powers, then Butcher kill him, nobody is afraid of him anymore, and this is the end of his regime and any of the lasting effects that might have had. This is also one of the reasons why Congress is so quick to get rid of Ashley. Like literally within the same day, they kick her out of office. Butcher then dedicates his final killing blow of the crowbar, splattering his brains, to Becca. And even though it's not exactly how Homelander dies in the comics, there are some echoes of his comic book ending here. The rest of the boys show up and see the aftermath of what's happened, see Homelander, and the hard part is done. But remember, this is not the end of Vought. It's not the end of Stan Edgar either. We'll get to that in a second. There are still many superheroes out there around the world, which is why Butcher and Huey end up having it out soon after this too.
It's more powerful than Vought or Homelander. More powerful than nature or life itself. It's profit and loss.
We get a short time jump right after this as she tries to spin things because she's still the acting president now, saying that Homelander was insane and she and the CIA were responsible for dealing with Homelander, and treats this like it's just life continuing, like, well, we knew this was going to happen and we planned for it. While the news plays clips of Homelander debasing himself over and over on live TV, people probably uploaded the video of him doing that to social media too, so it has probably been memed to death, make all the puns possible by now. Love the hilarious way that Ashley also goes out in the series too, like her ending, where she says she's not going to resign, but then they say immediately after this, Congress is like, get out. They impeach her, and she's gone by the end of the day. They also make a joke about the untimely end of the first female president in the United States, like it was a total disaster. We get another short time jump, and the boys are rallying at that Gen V farmhouse that we were at previously to enjoy their victory. Kimiko is talking again, Ryan is with them, and Butcher tries to have a father-son type of speech, like reunion with him, start over, like, let's go live a normal life with Terror, we'll have a fun time. And Ryan reminds Butcher that he didn't choose him over Homelander, and that he's just as bad as Homelander in a different direction, which is true, like Ryan was speaking the truth here. And he wants his own fresh start, but on his own, like he wants to be his own man going forward. He doesn't want to be like Homelander, obviously, and he doesn't want to turn out like Butcher either. Things get even sadder for Butcher, like he sinks lower and lower as he tries to recover with Terror, and they reveal he has died of natural causes. So R.I.P. to Terror, probably the most shocking and tragic death in the episode, that Terror died. Pouring out for him. And now Butcher feels like he is totally alone because the boys will largely go their separate ways after this, so like he doesn't really feel like he has anybody. Then remembers the virus and his previous vow to end all superheroes everywhere, which was his original mission too, like not just kill Homelander, but kill all superheroes. Later on TV, we also see Stan Edgar has retaken control of Vought like he said he would to Mother's Milk, and treats this like it's a new day for the company, and blames all the bad stuff that happened on Homelander and vows to right all the wrongs that were done in the past few seasons like a very good spin doctor. You remember at the end of season 2, they tried to pin all the terrible stuff that happened on Stormfront? Like, this is basically the same thing. He's just pinning it all on Homelander now. This is all to pay off the speech that Stan Edgar gave to Mother's Milk earlier this season, where he said that he would take control of Vought again, and it was all about capitalism, and it would just continue forward, making more money, and Vought would be doing all the things that it would normally be doing anyway eventually. So does that ultimately make Stan Edgar a much bigger villain than Homelander? Technically, money is a bigger villain than Homelander, I would guess. It all goes back to simple human greed. Huey then clocks what Butcher is trying to do and tries to stop him because it would mean that Annie and Kimiko would die too. And also, he doesn't want him to kill like all these other technically innocent people. Like, there are superheroes that are dirtbags and bad people, but not as evil as Homelander was. Chases him down to Vought Tower in the Sevens meeting room, fitting that the show also visits this place in the final episode, because remember, Butcher met Homelander in this building. This is where it all began for them, where he abused Becca, then Butcher vowed to get his revenge on Homelander eventually. His plan was to dump the virus into the sprinkler source, which was part of Frenchie's earlier plan, and wait for everybody to start their workday so that all 99 floors worth of superheroes were killed instantly, and then would spread the virus around the rest of the world, killing other superheroes too. So this is basically Butcher proving that Ryan is correct in his assessment of him as a terrible person just like a couple minutes ago. Huey then invokes Kessler and his brother Lenny. There are a couple Lenny mentions towards the end of the episode here too, and tries to talk him off the edge, but it doesn't work, forcing Huey to kill Butcher, who is genuinely impressed that Huey had the stones to do it, and says that he was right to do it.
It's all right, Huey. I gave you no choice.
So like I said earlier, Butcher's ending here is meant to be a parallel for Homelander's ending in that they were both terrible people that had to die, but at least in Homelander's case, he got progressively more irredeemable and worse as he got closer to death, and Butcher slowly starts to redeem himself a little bit as he's bleeding out and dying. So unlike Homelander, he accepted his fate. Also love the moment of Butcher being frozen by the hallucination of his brother Lenny, giving Huey the time to actually shoot and kill him, who he says later reminded him of the spitting image of his younger brother, which is one of the reasons why it seems like Butcher was so close to Huey over the series, why he cared about him so much, because he reminded him so much of his little brother that he loved so much. So R.I.P. Butcher, he did die in the comics, but in a very different way. And we get another short time jump with the surviving boys having a funeral for him, like Frenchie's. They bury him next to Becca like he wanted. Ryan also comes here too because it's his mother and Butcher was like his surrogate father. When they make a bunch of jokes about him being in hell razzing the devil, you could also make some Mortal Kombat 2 NetherRealm jokes because Karl Urban is Johnny Cage and has a big fight in their version of hell, NetherRealm, during that movie. They then go to the Topless Steakhouse in Reno because that was the place that Butcher was going to go with his brother Lenny as they play Billy Joel Piano Man over the final montage of all the characters' endings to show you what everybody's doing after this going forward in the timeline. Mother's Milk gets remarried to his ex-wife so his family is made whole again. Ryan is the best man, also to show you that Ryan is still active in the members of the boys' lives, like they still hang out occasionally. Kimiko goes to France, where Frenchie is from, has a beignet that Frenchie had been trying to make for her previously. She also has a new dog. President Singer, another supernatural actor, comes back into office who asks Huey to come back to the Bureau of Superhero Affairs and the watchdog Vought again, which he worked for Victoria Newman with in earlier seasons. He declines because he bought the electronics store that he was working at before season 1 and is running it with Annie and they're living a normal life, who is very pregnant, so next natural-born superhero maybe? When they're getting off the phone, President Singer also says the offer stands, just leaving the possibility for Huey to show up on future spin-off shows like the Bureau of Superhero Affairs will be active going forward. There will still be many superheroes, both good and bad, going forward in the timeline. Just a lot of stuff that they can mine for future story. Also, Soldier Boy, still very much alive too. Inside the store, the reason why there are a bunch of PlayStations conveniently behind them in the background, that's meant to be product placement because Sony makes the show for Amazon, or with Amazon. Gotta put a whole bunch of Sony products in there for some product placement in that final episode. Then they have the scene of her flying to show that she still has her powers and their son or daughter is going to be named Robin and will potentially have superpowers too the way that Ryan does. No Compound V powers necessary because they're naturally born superheroes. Then over the end credits, they do the Deadpool and Wolverine thing where they show a behind-the-scenes reel from the entire run of the series, not just Season 5, but these are all the people that made the show over the years. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, both good and bad, or if you have any questions about the finale, or you spotted any Easter eggs or references to the comics that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. Because of that big Soldier Boy Vought Rising teaser that they released during the episode or attached to the episode, I will do a follow-up video for that, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. They also screened a trailer for that at a recent premiere for the finale that they held where the actors all showed up and they were showing off this new Jensen Ackles show. We will probably hear him and the other creators talk more about what's going on with the other characters as we get closer to them actually dropping episodes. Good or bad, we will see what goes down with that. We will talk about that when I post that new trailer video. Everybody click here for that, and click here for all my other Boys episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.